What's up, everybody? My name is Parasite. Welcome back to Rebuilding Everton. Today we're going to be playing one game in the championship, the first game of the championship season against Blackburn. They're predicted to be, I think, eighth in the championship, eighth. So we are heavy favorites to win the league, 1 to 91 odds. Which, if you don't know, those are heavy favorites. In terms of our Dream 11, we've got Rahman, who's our starting center back that we started with when we got here. He's in the Dream 11. Lesniak, who's a defensive midfielder, is in the Dream 11. Olaru and Diop are the center midfielders. Alexander Douglas is there. Minikoni is there. And then a new signing, Watkin Jones, who is our new starting striker, is immediately thrown in as the Dream 11 starting striker. So I think we made some good business there. We have also signed a center back, and we have a backup striker on loan. If we look at our transfers, we get there in terms of ins. Our first signing was Paulo Sousa from Lazio for 18 million. He's a center back. He's labeled as a wonder kid, 20 years old, looks pretty solid, very solid everywhere. He's going to be a really good championship center back. But if he gets marking and tackling improved by a couple, he could be a very good Premier League center back. Passing's a little bit low, but I'm playing as a normal central defender. I'm not too worried about his passing. Got good first touch and dribbling, which are nice. But good physicals, 18 balance, 16 pace, 15 jumping rate, 6'1". He's not a giant, but he's tall enough to get the job done. I think he's a pretty good, dang good player. So I like him. He's got a lot of potential to improve. Got him relatively cheap at 18 million. Then our starting striker, Kai Watkin-Jones. They only think he's a 3-star player with not much potential. I think he's better than a 3-star player. I think he's easily 3.5 or 4-star player. He looks really freaking good. 15's in everything you need, really, except for passing. But he's got really good physicals, 15 pace, 13 strength, 17, 17, 18 in terms of acceleration, agility, balance, 15 jumping reach at 6'1". Very good physically. 15's in all the mental attributes he needs, 16 in off the ball, 17 in work rate, 18 teamwork. So he might be better in a pairing up top. He might not be the best as a solo striker, but we'll see. If we have to change the formation and get 2 strikers in there, we'll do that. 17 finishing, 15 first touch, 14 dribbling, 14 technique. He's just very good. And he scored goals in League One, obviously. He's at a lower level last year, but I think he scored a lot of goals at League One. I think he could score a lot of goals in the Championship. And I think he could be a good starting striker in the Premier League. Scored a little bit of goals in League Two. Scored quite a bit of goals in the MLS quite a few years ago. So I think he could be pretty good in the Premier League. I think he's easily a mid-table Premier League side starting striker. So I think that's pretty good for what we paid for him, 11 million. There weren't a whole lot of options. Obviously, not a whole lot of people want to sign for us. I've had a few other guys I was targeting that we just couldn't get. I'll show you them in a little bit. Then our backup striker is Vicente Belo, a guy we looked at last time. Really good technicals. First touch, dribbling, finishing, all really good. Really good physicals. Mentals are a little bit low in terms of decisions, composure, anticipation. Passing is only 12, but that's okay. Off the ball is not amazing. Work rate and technique aren't amazing, but he's solid as a backup striker. He's scored goals for AS Monaco, so he's put in good performances in League One for AS Monaco, so I think he could be a good backup striker for us. Like I said, there weren't a whole lot of options, so that's what I went with. Also, speaking of Kai, he's really good too because he's not foreign, so that's really good for us. In terms of players that have left, João Antonio was already agreed to before I got here. He's supposedly one of world's global superstars. I don't know about that. He's solid, but I don't think he's a superstar. 32 years old. Maybe he was better when he was younger. He's been at Everton for a long time, and he's played pretty well, so he's been a good player for us, but he's 32 years old, and we got 46.5 million for him. That's a good deal. Atlas Adias was a guy I wanted to sell when I got here. A left-footed left winger, just something we're not using. I could have retrained him to play on the right side, but I had other players for that position. He's 28 years old. He's worth a lot of money. I was able to get a decent chunk of change for him, so I'm pretty happy with that deal. He's solid mentally, solid technically, pretty good physically, but yeah, I just didn't have space for him in my team. I had other players I preferred that were already naturals at the position. Another winger that we sold is Isaac Adji. He was out on loan when I got here. He's a solid player, if unspectacular. 24 years old, not really going to improve. and we just didn't need him. We had enough players at that position, so we could get a decent chunk of change for him. So we did. 26 million. Liam Thompson was also agreed to before I got here. Left back, who I mean, he might have been a backup this season for me, but 29 years old, to get 8 million for him, I'm okay with that deal. A couple of other cheap ones we sold. Alaf, which was like our fourth choice goalkeeper, which we didn't need. So I sold him for a mil. 33 years old. Was never ever going to get a game time, going to get a single game. Jamie Evans is a youngster. Didn't have a whole lot of potential. Only 2.5-star potential. Only 1.5-star currently. So to get a million for him, I was happy with that. Like, if I can get a million for a guy that's probably never going to make the team, that's a good deal. A couple of other players out on loan. In terms of players we wanted, go to the short list. These are the strikers I wanted. This is the striker I really wanted. Jiri Kahutek. He was at Man City. He's going to Napoli on a mandatory future fee. I kept trying to get him. I wanted to get him on a loan deal with an optional future fee because they wanted 42 million for him. That was his asking price because he was transfer listed. So I wanted to get an optional future fee of 42 million and a loan deal, but we just couldn't agree on a price. They wanted 60 million on an optional future fee instead of the 42 million they're asking for. I don't know why, but he's really freaking good. He would have been easily a top half striker in the Premier League for us. So yeah, he's 28 years old, so he's a little bit old. He might not have been here by the time we're good enough to actually win a league, but he's labeled as an elite striker. He's very freaking good. We just couldn't get him. We tried so hard. I eventually agreed on just an actual normal loan deal, but he chose Napoli, obviously. I mean, that makes a lot of sense why he would choose Napoli over a championship squad. I tried to sign him on a permanent, but he wouldn't agree to a contract. He didn't want to enter negotiations, which is kind of understandable. He's way too good for the championship. The other guy I really wanted was Carlos Cesar, a 6'7" Brazilian striker. He's not amazing right now. He would have probably been the backup to Kai, but really good physicals, 18 jumping reach at 6'7". He's going to be a monster in front of goal. Decent physicals, solid mentals, great off the ball work rate and technique. Again, passing is a little bit low. It's hard to find a striker with good passing as a championship squad. So, I mean, decent finishing, decent first touch. He's a solid player. Like I said, he'd probably be the backup the first season, but by season 2 or 3 or 4, he would definitely be the starter. Like if he grows like he should, he's got 5-star potential. So if he grew like he has 5-star potential, he would be a very good striker for us. But we agreed a deal to him. They had a fee. What was it called? A minimum fee release clause of like 21 million. I eventually agreed to it. I wanted to get him for less, but they would only go sell him for that price. So I agreed to that deal. We agreed to a contract, and then instead he chose to re-sign with Cruzeiro on a new contract. I don't know why he would choose to stay in Brazil instead of going to a team who's probably going to be in the Premier League next season. That makes no sense, but whatever. So we couldn't get him. Then obviously, after he signed a new contract, he wouldn't agree to a new deal, or he wouldn't enter negotiations with us because he had just signed a new contract. So he was impossible to get. So I had to find other options, which was the loan striker I got. I wanted to loan this guy first, Bruno Repas. A little bit low finishing, 12 finishing, but he actually has good passing, great off the ball, great technique, really good physicals, really good composure. I think he would have been a good striker for us. He scored an okay amount of goals in the Premier League. I think he would have been just a championship level striker. I think he would have been very good for the championship. He probably would have started over Kai. But yeah, they wanted like 2.5 million per month for him, which is just absurd. So I would not agree to that deal. In terms of center backs we were going after, the one I really wanted was Pavlos Goulis. We agreed a loan deal with him, but then Sociedad came in and agreed a loan deal with him. So instead I went in for a permanent deal, offered him a buttload of money, offered him $75,000 a week. Instead he chose to go to Sociedad on loan for $40,000, which doesn't make much sense to me. Chose to go away from home. Obviously he's English, so to go to Spain for less money. Obviously, he's playing in the top league, but we're going to be a Premier League squad next season. It's almost guaranteed we're going to get promoted. So he's really freaking good. He says he's only 3 stars. I think he's better than that. Like Kai, I think he's easily a 3.5, 4-star player. Really good physicals, really good technicals, solid mentals, 18 tackling, the standout attribute. He's really freaking good. I think he's really underrated. I think he's a really good player. He's been on loan to the Premier League last season, and he played really well. Was in the championship the year before that and played really well. I think he's a very good player. I think he would have been a good player in the Premier League for us, but I would have started him over Ramon, but he wanted to go to Sociedad, so I had to look at other options. Originally, I was looking at this Ricardo Granados, but he just signed a new contract, so he wouldn't agree to enter contract negotiations with us. 18 tackling as well. Really good physicals, solid mentals. Aggression's the only thing that's a little bit low. Marking only 13, but that's okay. Heading only 12, but I'm not too concerned about his heading. I think he would have been a pretty good player. He's got a lot of potential, too. 4.5-star potential, but he had signed a new contract. He would not negotiate with us, so I had to look at other options again. I was considering this Pascal Ngono. He's pretty solid. I mean, composure and decisions are pretty low. Pace is pretty low, but other than that, everything's pretty good. But they wanted like 40 million for him. 22-year-old. It says he has 4.5-star potential, but I don't believe that. I don't think at 22 he's really going to grow that much more, so I didn't think that was a very good deal. The 2 guys I'm looking at, obviously I wanted Daniel Walther, labeled as a wonder kid, 4.5-star potential. Not the best right now. He's got, heading's low, composure, bravery, aggressions are low. Everything else is pretty good. He's obviously got a lot of potential. He's perfectly 2-footed, so that was kind of interesting to me, but they wanted like 100 million for him, so that wasn't going to happen. So the 2 guys I'm looking at, I'm still looking to get another center back. I'm looking at this Eirik Westenlund and this Luca Martinelli. I'm probably going to go with Westenlund. I'm getting them scouted by our best scout just to get a final scout report on them that I can trust. Westenlund's 18 years old, not labeled as a wonder kid or anything, but he has 5-star potential. So if the scouts are right about his potential, he's only 5'11", but he looks pretty dang good. He's solid everywhere. Heading and marking a little bit low. Jumping reach a little bit low. He's only 5'11", but aggression's only 5, which is not very good, but I don't think aggression is one of the most important attributes. I think he could be a pretty good center back. I really like his 15 concentration and 15 tackling. So I think he could be a good third-choice center back for us. Luca Martinelli's the other guy. He doesn't have as much potential, only 4 stars. But 17 tackling. He's 6'5" with 16 jumping reach. So he's a little bit better in the air. Not as good concentration. A little bit better aggression. Obviously tackling is much better. But I don't know. I'm not as sold on this guy. He's 21. I don't think he's really going to grow that much. They want a little bit less for him than Eirik Westenlund. But I have a lot of money. I have 67 million in the transfer budget still. I was up at like 90 before I made my 2 signings. Obviously from the players I sold, so I had a lot of money in transfer budget. Started off with only 25, but with the player sales I had, we got up to $90 million in transfer budget. So that's what I'm looking at in terms of players for the future. I wanted to look at one other thing. I wanted to see what players were still playing. These are the players that are real players at the beginning of the save that are still playing. Youssoufa Moukoko, the standout name, 35 years old, still an elite attacking midfielder. 4-star potential, 4-star ability for us right now still. He's ridiculous. Just imagine when his pace, stamina, and strength were all above 16. His dribbling was like 18. He would have been he was a nuts player in his prime. He played his entire career at Dortmund. Scored a buttload of goals for him. 308 and 615 appearances. Always had an average rating above like a 7.5. 7.83 here, 7.91 here, 7.81, 7.83, 7.88, 7.9, 7.93. He's a very freaking good player. Youssoufa Moukoko, the superstar of the save. Isaac Hansen-Aaron starts as a youngster at Manchester United, 18 passing, 18 vision. He was pretty good in his prime too, I'm sure. Obviously his physicals are falling off now that he's 35, but he's got solid mentals, solid technicals. He spent almost his entire career at Burnley and then Basel. So he's been a pretty good player for Basel. Other players, not a whole lot left. Giovanni Reina is still playing at 37 years old at Cruz Azul. He must have been really good in his prime because he looks pretty good now in his physicals or in his mentals and technicals. His physicals are obviously gone, but he played a long time at Dortmund, put in some very good average ratings. He's not played below a 7 in his entire career. So that's pretty dang good. Especially even at 36 at Cruz Azul, he put in a 7.08. He's been a very good player. Obviously, he had a very good stretch from 2022 to 2025, where he was scoring double-digit goals every single season, putting in above a 7.4 every single season. Best ever average rating was 7.76 in 2025-2026. He's been a very good player in this save. Devin Rinch is a youngster at Ajax when he starts. He played a lot of his career at Ajax, 469 appearances. 17 passing from a center back is really good. I don't know if his heading was ever any better, but he would have been a solid player, if unspectacular. And that's about it for all the players that were ever really good. Gavi was a youngster at Barcelona when it starts. He made 3 total appearances for him, but he's played everywhere. He's never really stuck anywhere for a very long time. The only one he had most appearances with is Lazio. So he's a solid player when he was in his prime, but maybe not a superstar. That's about it for players that used to be good or used to have any potential. The rest of them aren't very good. So I wanted to look one other thing, the Ballon d'Or. See who won the Ballon d'Or while we've been gone. Start off in 2021. Bernardo Silva won it for Real Madrid. So that's interesting. Cristiano Ronaldo second, De Bruyne third. Mbappe won it the next season. Harry Kane, who's still a manager for AC Milan. That's interesting. He won it a couple years in a row. Haaland getting second. Mbappe won it the next 2 years. Is that a regen? Yeah, a regen won it in 2027. That's pretty early for a regen to be winning the Ballon d'Or. Youssoufa Nkurunziza still plays for Juventus, 35 years old. Yeah, he was really good in his prime. He's still those are ridiculous physicals for a 35-year-old. Dang, he's pretty dang good, yeah. Where did they buy him? Bought him from St. Etienne for 117 million. He must not have been very old when they bought him either, so that's a lot of money. But he won a Ballon d'Or, so it's probably worth it. Youssoufa Moukoko getting third. He actually won quite a few Ballon d'Ors. Mbappe wins the next one. Haaland wins the next one. He is an unemployed manager, not a very good manager. And then Nkurunziza won the next 2, and then another region, Luis won it. Another region won it. He won it again. I think it's just regions from there on out. Yeah, just regions. So Haaland only wins 1 Ballon d'Or. Youssoufa Moukoko doesn't win a single Ballon d'Or, even though he's probably been one of the best players in the history of this save. He's not won a Ballon d'Or. That's interesting. Ronaldo, is he a manager? He's an assistant manager at Arsenal. He's actually pretty dang good. He's a very good assistant manager. Messi, he's a coach at Lazio. He's a really good coach. He's a pretty good manager, too. He could be an assistant manager. So Messi is still coaching. Zidane, is he still manager? He's unemployed manager. He should be a manager somewhere. How old is he? 68 years old. Sammer, director of football, unemployed. I think those are all the players. So those are the players that have won the Ballon d'Or. In terms of what we're currently doing in terms of tactics, I changed it up a little bit. I've gone to a 4-3-3. I wanted to get a Laru in the squad. He's labeled as like our second best player. So I want to get him in the squad. We could play him as attacking mid in a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 and play Diop like as a deep line playmaker, but deep line playmakers just don't get good average ratings in this game. So I didn't want to waste our best player on a deep line playmaker role. So instead I went to this so he can play as Mazzala. I didn't want him to play as Mazzala in a 4-2-3-1, so with this defensive midfielder behind him, I'm happy with him playing Mazzala. Laru can play his best position as an advanced playmaker. It says they don't play well together, but I think that's going to change as the season goes on. Also, Lesniak gets to play in his natural position. He's natural as a defensive midfielder, as an anchor man. That's his best role. So we get to play him in his best role. I think it just makes sense to do this. It gives our inverted wingers a little bit more space to cut into. So I think it makes sense on the whole. This is the squad I'm going with. Pretty much the same squad I was going to show last year, except for the new additions in midfield with Laru coming in. Zigrovic comes out, replacement for him. He's unhappy. I've got a lot of players saying they wanted to leave for either continental football or just a better team. Like, who was it? I think Lesniak. I had to agree that he would be. I promised he would be sold if I got a bid of $50 million from him. Any other players I had that? I know I had it for one other. Verdiano. Players sold for $50 million, so another $50 million contract for him. He's like 32 years old, 31. So if we got $50 million for him, I'd take it. I'd find another right back. And then finally, Diop wanted to be sold. I agreed. If a bid of $95 million is received, I'll sell him. So I got, and it almost happened. I got a bid of $94 million for him. So I was lucky they didn't go that one extra million. Otherwise, I would have had to accept it. Otherwise, he would have been very upset. So, yeah, they $1 million under. They haven't. No one's coming in with the $95 million for him yet. I don't want him to because he's our best player, 24 years old. We don't have a whole lot of very good young players, so having him here is huge. Alar's another pretty good young player, 22. But other than that, I mean, other Paulo Sousa who I got, Kai who I got, Jorge's 24. He's still pretty good too. But I don't. It says he's a 4-star player. I just don't see it. Like, he's got some really good attributes in some positions, but he's not exceptional. I still think he's our best left inverted winger, but this is what we're going to go with. Let's just get right into the game against Blackburn. Belo's my backup striker. Michal and Quintero on the bench. Zigrovic and Ferreira. Arias is a backup left back, and Monroe is a backup center back / right back. He can kind of play center back. He's got 12 heading, 13 marking, 14 tackling. He's a decent center back. So he's currently like our third choice center back as well. I'm still looking to bring in a center back, but we'll see. I haven't been able to get rid of Diamikis. I don't think anyone will want him. He's on $95,000 a week, and he's awful. Obviously, his physicals are absolutely terrible, so I don't know why anyone would want him. I've been trying to sell him or loan him. I was trying to get him out of the squad any way possible, but I think he's the only one I haven't been able to sell. Let's get into it. Let's play Blackburn. We have to get a squad number to one player. Belo, you can have 29. I'm going to say we're favorites and should be winning this comfortably. They're not going to be reacting to me for a while. I got to kind of get a reputation at the squad before the players will react in team talks. We should be winning this game. We should be, like, in reality, we probably should go unbeaten. I'm just going to say that right now. We probably should go unbeaten. We're that good. We're that much better than any other team in the championship. We should not be in the championship. We should easily be a mid-table Premier League squad with the players we have right now. I mean, I can kind of understand how we got relegated considering we only have one center back, had only one center back, and no good strikers. But with the additions I've made at center back and striker, we should easily be a mid-table Premier League squad. We've got plenty of really good players, including Perez, who scores the first goal of the season, first goal of the series in a competitive game. Cross in from Veridiano, finds Perez near the back post. He puts it in the back net. Wasn't it Veridiano or was it Lesniak who put the cross in? Yeah, it was Veridiano. That's what I thought. Finds Perez near the back post, shoots it in the bottom right corner. We go 1-0 up. But yeah, we've got some really good players, and Diop and Alaru. Lesniak's a solid player. We've got plenty of solid midfielders, even though they're getting a little bit old for the most part. Other than Diop and Alaru, they're getting a little bit old. Lesniak's old. Ferreira's a little bit old. Most of our defensive midfielders are pretty old. But I'm pretty happy with this squad. I just wish we had better set-piece takers, but obviously he's not bad. If he just puts that cross in and Rahman heads it home for his first ever goal for Everton. And we go 2-0 up after 40 minutes. Great start to this game. A great start to our championship season. He's 12 was keeping him onside. I don't know why, but he should not have been standing that far up. Otherwise, he might have been offside. But 12 was keeping him on. They've had an injury. See if we can get another on a long throw from Verdiano. He doesn't actually have very good long throws. I think he's only like 12. Again, we don't have any good long throw takers either. We have no good set-piece takers at all. Like, our highest set-piece taker is like a 12 in terms of free kicks and penalties and throw-ins. We just don't have any set-piece takers on this team, but that's not the biggest deal. I think we should be able to score plenty of goals from open play, so I don't think set-pieces are going to be a must-have for us. As we're looking to build something down this right-hand side, Alexander Douglas, who I think is probably our third best player. I don't know. I really like Kai. I think Kai might be our third best player. I really like Kai. I think he's a really good player. He's not really performed that well this game so far, only a 6.7. The rest of our team has really picked it up. Only 6 shots, but we've been clinical with the shots we've had. 3 on target, 2 goals. So I'm very happy with the way things are going. Keep it up. Sousa's on a yellow. He's the only one that's gotten a card. Perez is a little bit tired, so he might not have to come off. He might have to come off here pretty soon. If we get another goal, I'll immediately take him off, because I'll feel pretty comfortable at 3-0 up. I'm pretty comfortable at 2-0 because they haven't done anything this game. But I'm just going to take him off. 70th minute. He's very tired. Mikal can come in. Michal, however you pronounce that. Sousa's pretty tired too. Andy's on a yellow, so I might be taking him off. Let's take Sousa off. Alaru's tired too, but Sousa's on a yellow. Gonna bring in Monroe. Watkins hasn't had the best game this game. Now there's Alexander Douglas or Anderson. I was hoping Anderson could be a solid left back, but I think we're probably going to need to improve at left back either in January or for next season, hopefully in the Premier League. I don't think Anderson's going to be quite good enough. I thought about upgrading him this season, but I really want to see how he plays. I want to give most of our players an opportunity to show to me that they deserve to be in this team. As Watkins looks like he's getting on a free breakaway. He beats the man to the inside, but he gets saved. Down to the right-hand side. Carden's able to get down and save it. I'm going to take Alaru off. Bring on Zigrovic. I think he becomes a box-to-box midfielder. Send him in on attack when he plays there. So I've got every player plays kind of a different role in that midfield spot, because none of them really play. No one else plays an advanced playmaker. No one else. Well, some of the players can kind of play Mazzala, but so I've got to change it up a little bit when they come in. But I still get to play on an attacking role right there. Ball up to Watkins Jones. I'd really like if he got a goal this game. He's not going to get a goal shooting like that, but played a 6.7. He's been okay. I mean, maybe you can blame the players around him not giving him enough good opportunities, but I think he's going to be good for us. I have faith in Watkins Jones. I think he's got really good attributes. So, a pretty good first game for us. A 2-0 win. Lesniak with a good game. Veridiano. Rahman with a 7.7. Diop with a 7.4. Perez with a 7.3 and a goal. Rahman is our man of the match. So, that's pretty good for a guy I wasn't too sold on. I wasn't sure if he'd be a long-term option at center back or even a short-term option at center back. Say, well done, lads. That was a good win for us. It wasn't an exceptional game. Obviously, we didn't score any goals in the second half. It's a pretty boring second half, but we got the win that we needed. 2-goal advantage. Got the game set up and won, and then just kind of coasted home for the final couple minutes. Didier Deschamps wants to sign Joseph Diop. Where does he play for? Bayer Leverkusen, or managers at Bayer Leverkusen. Oh, it says right there. I really don't want to sell him. I hope nobody comes in for a $95 million bid on him, because he's just so freaking good. I would not be able to replace him. There's no one I could sign that would be anywhere close to as good as Diop is. So I would hate if he had to be sold. Hopefully we can get through this transfer window and no one will come in for him. Everything will be fine. In terms of where we'll come back for next episode, who's got the highest competitions? Season preview. Fulham, West Brom, Sheffield United, Stoke. Stoke and West Brom are just relegated. So I might come back for Stoke Fulham. I think would be a good couple games. I think I'll do that. I'll come back for Stoke and Fulham. They're both predicted to be like top 5, top 6 teams in the championship this season. So should be 2 difficult games. Hopefully 2 games we should win, but I'll see you then. If you've made it this far, why don't you like the video, subscribe, and click the bell. Links to all my socials are also in the description. I really appreciate all your support. Thank you all for joining me, and I'll see you next time.